right. We are back in Studio K, and I'm joined by Pert Near Sandstone. Before we get started, I'd love another name and instrument intro from everyone.
I'm Justin, and I play the upright bass and sing.
Kevin, and I play the clawhammer banjo and sing.
Jay, and I play guitar and I sing.
We got all the singers in the room today. We just heard Bloom Again, All Waves Break, and Out of Time. I have had this question ruminating in my mind ever since I first met you guys at Blue Ox, of course, as we were just talking about.
Blue Ox Music Festival?
Blue Ox Music Festival.
In Eau Claire, Wisconsin?
Yes, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. How did you know?
In June?
In June? Last weekend in June? What is the inspiration behind the name Pert Near Sandstone?
Have fun, boys!
Well, we have won several, well, maybe we haven't won. We've honorable mention in several of the worst band name contests.
That is wild.
Yes. So we needed a name when we first were going to have a show at Profile Music Cafe, not too far off the campus here. And Ryan Young, our first fiddle player, who plays with Trampled now, said, "Hey, I've been thinking about the band name." Everybody in the band at some point had a parent that grew up on a farm and had a grandparent that said some version of Pert Near or Prit Near or Put Near. And then Jay and I had the idea that it should be Pert Near something. We still don't know if we're right about that.
Maybe the worst decision.
Yeah, maybe. People just call us Pert Near, but the band's name is Pert Near Sandstone.
Yeah.
Sandstone is not in reference to the town of Sandstone, but rather in reference to the mighty Mississippi that we all live around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the name of the band. It's weird. If we would have known we'd still be doing this like 20 years later, we'd have picked like, something marketable.
Different. Yeah. Well, for history's sake, you've stuck with it. Yeah, it's too late. And when you were just starting out as a band, did you have like a conscious choice? Like you were like, we are going to start a bluegrass band and that's what we're here to do? Or was it more just like, I'm going to hang out and play with my friends and this is the music that we enjoy?
Yeah, very much the latter there.
Okay.
So Ryan and I had been in a bunch of metal and ska and kind of weird fusion jazz types of bands.
Yeah.
Kevin was my roommate at the time and going through a struggle in his life at the time, I can say. And then, he and I were just playing some folk music on the side. This was actually my first ever like folk music band. And here we are almost 20 years later. But really it was Nate, who's not here with us, that brought that old-timey kind of thing to it all. Like we had been listening to some Grateful Dead and some Jerry Garcia, David Grisman stuff, but like he really was into that traditional stuff, which West Bank music, like everything. And he kind of got us way into it. It's really just fun, trancey jam, these old traditional fiddle tunes and mandolin tunes. And yeah, it was very much like a side thought that kind of turned into here we are playing like in a kind of bluegrassy, old-timey kind of band.
And it was thanks in part to the West Bank at the time. Like there were more venues, and it was kind of more of a thing, And you guys, started playing at the Hexagon and the Caboose, and we, discovered how supportive the musical community is in this town, and it has been ever since,
Yeah.
So we're very lucky.
Justin wasn't with us when we first started. He's new guy. He has been with us for, I think, 12 years. But.
New guy.
Yeah, new guy.
It's fun when I have people in here. The thing that gets like reiterated most often is how like supportive and special the music community is here, and how you can kind of find pockets for any genre. So it's nice.
I mean, Minnesotans are very good at patting themselves on the back about how great it is. It's our justification for living up here, but there is truth in it. So
yeah.
There definitely is truth in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel like any aspects of your sound have kind of progressed in your time together, or do you feel like you've stuck pretty close to your roots?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's a little from column A and a little from column B. I don't know. Maybe you could speak to it more.
I don't know if I can speak to it more, but like the first year and a half of the band, I didn't play an instrument at all. So we were at a bluegrass festival and we were like, well, nobody's playing the banjo in this band yet. Maybe I should buy one and see if I can figure it out.
And now he's the best banjo player in the entire
In
band.
the band, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, in the whole band.
I mean, our music writing, we all write songs, and you can kind of tell distinct whose songs are whose when you listen to them, not just from who's singing it necessarily.
Yeah.
Like my influences are pretty out there, you know? And Nate is definitely, you can hear his old-timiness in there.
Yeah.
But we work together on writing these songs too. I think that over the years it's really kind of slightly matured and kind of turned into, you know, we individually write, but we definitely collaborate with each other. We're going to be working on a new album again soon, I think. So yeah, it's been a long ride.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask if it's like different people bringing an idea to the group and being like, I've kind of been working on this one and I'd love to get other people's opinions on it, if it's more of a jam thing.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll just be hanging around at a music festival or just camping together or whatever, and we're just goofing around by a fire, and something will just pop up out of nowhere. Like Kevin and I wrote this song, Summer Skies. I just started playing this guitar part that I kind of just came up with, and Kevin's like digging through his notebook. He's like, I got some words to something I think would be good with this. And we wrote that song in like 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm still struggling to write songs that I've started 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different process. That's the process.
Oh yeah, for me it's like a melody pops into my head usually when I'm biking.
Yeah.
So I have all these audio like on the iPhone, you know, there's where you can record just your voice. So I have to harvest and go back and go through, because I'll just be on my bike and then I'll just stop and sing this thing into my voice memo and then try and hash it out later. And so that's what's happening. The song that I'll be putting on the new album is definitely, that's how it was born.
Yeah.
But these guys will help me round it out and maybe arrange it a certain way or kind of
music to it.
Well, I mean, there's melody there.
Out of breath.
After being
It's really
on the
fun,
bike.
actually, when he's got something that is in process. He's like, "Hey, listen to this for a second," and you can tell he's like pedaling really hard and singing. It's great.
Yeah, it's the process.
I do that on my bike. You know?
I write the same way, just not on a bike.
Yeah. Just the bike part is removed. Well, and I feel like, the sort of through line that I find, at least with your music, is that so much of it is very like cinematic, if I can use that word, or like picturesque. Like I feel like it's really good at putting you in a type of environment or feeling that you want the listener to experience, no matter if it's like with the lyrics or with the music. And how do you feel like you kind of work together to get those parts to translate?
Yeah, I think lyrically especially, we're mostly individually doing lyrics. I get Kevin's help a lot with some of my lyrics because I don't write lyrics good. But yeah, I really like writing music and putting songs together and like that, landscaping a song, you know. And we've got a few songs that are story type songs and some that are just kind of mood songs. I mean, really I consider us really a live show band. We're kind of goofballs and we just really like to have a good time. Yeah. But I do think we're a songwriter band too. We're not really, we could jam, you know, but nobody wants to hear us do that for too long.
No.
And we got so many good songs, I think, with the different songwriters. I mean, it does. It's every song is a little bit different like that, but we that's where the collaboration comes in, kind of helping paint and finish that picture. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like thinking about music that way too. So I appreciate the comment because, like Nate, I feel like a lot of his songs, you hear them and like. Yeah. If you know the story or if you've listened to the song once before, you can almost like hear where you were, you know, or like.
Yeah, he taps into nostalgia too. Right? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of one of his signatures, I feel like. Whether be it be it like a story song or borrowing an old melody from an old fiddle tune or something like that, you know.
Yeah. And like we do work a lot together on like that. Like, you know, Jay is great at helping arrange songs and like doing the music side of it and like, you know, thinking about how it's going to be played live. And, you know, sometimes we'll be like, hey, you know, like we're talking about this new record. And we're like, hey, that last record was a little bit sad at times. You know, like hey, maybe could somebody write some happy music?
Yeah.
You know? So like even thinking about like the thematic nature of the work that we're doing in songwriting in that way is sometimes something that we do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, bringing it back to the live aspect, my introduction to you was seeing you at Blue Ox, which I feel like is an amazing introduction and can speak to the fact that that's kind of where you guys feel like you're in your element the most.
Yeah, we just love the summertime and music festivals, you know, like, and we feel really lucky to have been able to help the folks at Blue Ox put together such a great festival, you know, kind of one of the premier acoustic and Americana festivals in the country now, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. And just from like, this was also something I was thinking about when I saw you guys. When did you start incorporating people clogging into your live shows? Because I saw that, I was like, this is so cool. This is something I've never seen or experienced live before. And I feel like that percussive but also like athletic aspect is really interesting.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, right?
Yeah, it is.
So a good friend of mine, Andy Lambert, was kind of the first guy to clog with us, and I just like met him at like a event, and you know we were up really late at night playing music with some people, and he was playing the washboard and talking about how he was just starting this dancing thing with this group in town called the Wild Goose Chase Cloggers.
Oh, sweet.
And they've been around since like what, the early 80s or late 70s, something like that.
Oh, wow.
I think you're as old as me.
Yeah, so they've been in town a long time. It is a consensus-driven organization focused on preserving Appalachian clogging and old-time music, and so they do lots of like. There's a huge square dance scene in the cities here, like over at the Eagles Club. They're a big part of like what sponsors and keeps that going is that community that they're connected to. So anyway, there's a lot of clogging here. My wife is a clogger. Justin's wife is a clogger. We got lots of friends that are cloggers. We had a great friend, Matt Cartier, who danced with us for many years too. Like we've had lots of dancing in the band. And it's just really like a part of the history of old time music, I think, flat footing and clogging. And so it's been fun to bring that to the stage show. And it's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like one of these things where like the more you think about, you know, the experience of a live show, the more it makes sense. Like you can't not dance when you're at the show if you're watching somebody on stage.
It's
dancing,
true.
you know?
It's true.
So
you want to copy them. You want to follow the leader. And like in a similar vein, do you have any folk instruments that are a little unfamiliar to you that like in a perfect world you could pick up tomorrow and like incorporate into your music?
Go ahead.
Actually, I have kind of one of my processes of writing songs. I have an auto harp, which is, if you don't know, it's kind of that, you'll probably recognize it from like the 60s, 70s folk scene. You just kind of push buttons and it plays the chord for you and you strum it. It's really popular with like singer-songwriter folk singers. And I like picking up an instrument like that and just goofing around on it. And I've written a few songs like that. Now, I haven't tried fiddling. I do play a little bit of banjo and also kind of write some like you get some ideas when you're unfamiliar with it. Yeah, I'm famous at a couple of music festivals, Boats and Bluegrass, for playing two slide whistles at the same time.
Ooh, sweet.
I'm not sure how famous that is, but I consider myself very
infamous.
Famous.
Yeah,
infamous. But
yeah. Okay. Well, before we go, it's time for kind of our silly fun question. And I suppose this is honestly in the same vein of many things you've done since you've gotten to share the stage with so many incredible other musicians. But in this hypothetical scenario, you get to build a 4-group bill, including yourself. I always like to tell people, dead or alive. I want the possibilities to be endless.
So we're building a 4-band bill.
Yes.
For a show. At where?
At wherever you want.
Wherever you want.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish
you get to dream big.
Throwing this question out to us before we got in
well,
here.
it's
part of the fun
serendipitous.
is springing it on people.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is hard. Well, I mean, I guess for the sake of there's 3 of us here, we could each pick a band. And then because we are on the bill.
Are we? I was gonna say, do we have?
We're on the bill.
You don't have to be.
We're one of the.
But that's usually the premise that I give people.
Okay, well, there's a lot of obvious answers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have to think about that.
All right. Well, I just saw King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and that was one of my favorite shows I've seen this year. That was so awesome at the Armory. But if we're gonna go like Dead or Alive, I really feel like I wanted to see Jimi Hendrix live.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
I know that's kind of a cliche answer, but
I think
seriously,
it's a
Dead or
good
Alive, I would
answer.
love to see him
like
in his prime, lighting a guitar on fire on stage.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw Gil and Dave over at the Fitz. That was a great show. Gilly Mouse, Dave Rawlings. Maybe I'd put them on a bill with like the Milk Carton Kids and Iron and Wine on some like sunny afternoon. It wouldn't be late at night where I could take a big long nap listening to like beautiful music.
You're stealing all of our picks. I got.
That's it. I was just doing it. I just did my own. Yeah.
Well, I would want Hank Williams on the bill because I would definitely want to see that man perform in his prime before he passed, because he's got just some of the best songs in this sort of country Americana vein. He's who popped into my mind. I mean, I could list my favorite influences and people I would love to see on the bill too, but I put him on there, and then probably Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young with Joni Mitchell in there singing as well, and the band.
Yeah, and I was going to say if they would collaborate, like Jimi Hendrix playing with Hank Williams would be pretty great, I think.
Yeah.
I would love to see like a John Coltrane. I would love to see Nina Simone. I would love to see some of the great, like the jazz greats from back in the day too.
So this has turned into who are your influences and favorite artists?
But you know what? I like a double dip question.
Yeah,
it makes my life easy.
That's a fun question. Yeah, thank you.
Before we go, do you want to tell the people?
Shamelessly plug.
Yeah.
We'll be tomorrow. We're playing early at 56 Brewing. Their Bluegrass Bonanza, they're calling it. And we're sharing the bill with a lot of fun, good bands. Turn from in town. Adam Gruel is from Horses and Hand Grenades, but he's got a project called Adam Gruel and the Space Burritos. And they kind of do country, rocky kind of thing. And then the Rowe Family Singers, they've been in town for years and years too, always doing their residency at the 331 on Mondays. And the Pistol Whipping Party Penguins, good friends of ours from way back who we've partied with for years and years. So that will be fun. Then that's tomorrow. We're playing at Boats and Bluegrass next weekend down in Winona. It is sold out, but if you were to hop on their resale, the tickets are available because people can't go. I mean, I would just check their website but that's one of our favorites and a festival that really helped build this band and give us the fan base that we have now. And there's other stuff. Just check out our Instagram and website and all that yada yada internet. But check out our internet. We're on the internet. We love the internet, but we hate the internet too. Because we're not good at creating content, or we're not good at posting either. But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just the way it goes. Yeah.
Thank you for having us in
here.
Of
course, I was going to say, thanks so much for chatting. So nice to see you again. So nice to hear you perform.
Yeah.
I had the time of my life.
Yes.
You've been listening to Pert Near Sandstone here on Off the Record on Radio K, Real College Radio.
Radio K.